I'm Keiichi Masuya, who is Executive Vice President in the PeptiDream. So today's my talk entitled, Can we make a second wave in the drug discovery? So maybe I will spend a few minutes here. So this is very critical information package. So title is ICT-based Drug Discovery for Small Molecules. I think over the 50 years, data accumulation for the small molecule could lead not only the ICT-based drug discovery and also clinical trial or clinical development and so on. So maybe I can point out each detail. So for example, regarding the target protein information, I think you can easily access the public domain or public database. And if you want to check the detail of the 3D structural information of the protein or even the small molecule structure, you can easily access also public data set. It's sometimes commercially available. So based on these kind of the information, if you want to do the virtual screening of the compound against a certain, you are targeting the protein, technically it's very simple because you can access all the information, particularly both sides of the protein and the small molecule. You can easily find your favorite compound. And also, based on the wet experiment, like a biological data or pharmacological data, maybe filtering the compound, how to select your suitable or best compound. Also relatively easy because you can access the compound structure and also many biological data set. So just change a little bit the story and about the QSAR and molecular modeling. Of course, to access the QSAR or molecular modeling, you need very sophisticated 3D structural information of the protein and the compound. But the point is, in the case of the small molecule area, it's plenty information is available in the public domain. So technically, this circle of the drug discovery in the small molecule case, I think you can access anything, and you can get any your favorite data package. So then this result eventually leads to the clinical candidate to access the human. So just overall, in a small molecule area, I would say relatively easy. Already, ICT-based drug discovery development is established. So second slide show how AI, currently very hot topic AI is in the healthcare area, how utilized. Of course, history is very long since maybe 1950s, but reality, how actually, practically AI utilized in the drug discovery or even the development or clinical development is very recent. And particularly, you can see maybe 2018 to 2020, I think actually AI strongly contribute to the certain clinical trials. This is a huge impact in the recent our healthcare area. So based on this progress, I think recently AI company and also pharmaceutical company start to partnering a lot. Maybe you can see that most of the big pharma, I think already have the big partnership with a very representative AI company. So this also maybe result in the more aggressive the acceleration with the development of the compound near future soon. So then today's main topic is here. So why we need a second wave in the drug discovery field? So what is the second wave? This is key point. So I talk about the small molecule area, but today's main topic is instead of the small molecule. So such as peptide and nucleic acid and the antibody, this kind of the other modalities. Actually, unfortunately, practical ICT-based drug discovery or any type of the approach has not been established, surprisingly. Question is why? So I can show you the history of the peptide drug development since maybe 1920. So it's compared to the small molecule, I think a peptide drug in the market, still roughly 100 compound. It's much smaller number. So plus maybe since 1970, actually every year certain critical peptide drug go into the market, but before that it's not exist. So means since 1970 or even later, I think ICT or DX or AI, this kind of several IT related approach coming into the peptide drug discovery and development. So means compared to small molecule, I think historically maybe 10 years or even more than 20 years, I think much delayed. This is maybe significant impact. So how we can handle this kind of ICT or AI or IT related system or technology for the second wave of the drug discovery. So this picture looks very similar for the small molecule. The title is ICT-based Drug Discovery for Peptides. I think just to answer the final conclusion, it's very simple. It's still very, very, very difficult to use ICT for the peptide drug discovery. So as I told you the last slide, I think a peptide history is already long, or it's very common. But unfortunately, data accumulation for the peptide drug discovery still couldn't help the establishment of the advanced system using the ICT due to its complexity. It's a peptide or nucleic acid or antibody, simply molecular or structurally, it's very complex. This is a huge impact to delay the ICT-based drug discovery. So you can see this slide. It's a gray down position like a public database or virtual screening or even the filtering of the compound or even the molecular docking. It's so far, I think we have no advanced ICT system yet. So I can show you each detail in the next couple of slides. So for example, public the data for the peptide drug discovery is here. So it's very limited and unfortunately very unfriendly for the drug discovery scientist. Actually, I point out relatively 4 different databases in the public, 2 databases from China and two databases maybe from other country, but it's not how to say entire information package. Still very limited and very how to say difficult to access for this kind of the database. So second one is virtual screening. So in the case of a small molecule, if you want to do the virtual screening, you can use any type of the public information. It's very simple, as I told you. But in case of the peptide drug discovery, for the virtual screening, as a first step, you need certain accurate 3D information of the peptide and also protein instead of the 2D. So this is a significant impact. If you, how to say, analyze the 3D structure of the peptide, I think you need, a supercomputer or even the digital arena. I can talk about maybe later. And maybe huge burden for the computer, how to say, technology. So this is my answer. Virtual screening for peptide is so far, unfortunately, not realistic. I think several companies or some consortium, Pepton or Protein Cure, maybe also the Fujitsu also involved in this maybe consortium. I think maybe many, the industry or academia try to solve this issue, but still not yet. So next question is how you can select the compound from the many or huge number of the data set. I think as first you need an accurate or wide data set for the filtering. But as I told you, package of the data for each peptide, it's too independent and too small compared to the small molecule area. So we don't have the certain packaged information. So it means technically, if you just go into the some system and just try to filter the compound, it's technically impossible so far, unfortunately. So this is exactly the answer to small data availability for the peptide filtering. I think recent, maybe 2020, 2021, recently I think several academia papers start to say certain data package can help or could help peptide drug discovery filtering, but still very limited, very narrow area. It's not covering the overall. So next one is QSAR, or even the modeling or docking, this kind of stuff. So simply, we need more accurate 3D structural information for the peptide QSAR. I think a paper from the academia, yes, you can see, or you can find several, maybe, good the literature, but in the industry area, I think nobody believes current data information package can support the 3D structural information using the QSAR or molecular docking at the current. So this is maybe significant negative impact for the drug discovery in the peptide. So how, now maybe last couple of slides, I talk about the very negative stuff about peptide drug discovery. So then our scientists just sitting and wait until someone make a good system? No, I think particularly PeptiDream already initiated with Fujitsu. So how we can manage or we can make the ICT-based drug discovery for the peptide. So fortunately, PeptiDream has a huge tons of the peptide data set which can support to establish the ICT-based peptide drug discovery. So of course, we need a digital arena or even the high performance computing, HPC, or many other, available ICT-related tool. So then question is how we can manage overall. So we need a good data package or data database, and how we can manage the 3D structure with the compound, then apply to the batch screening. So how we can align the wet data from a biological experiment and the dry information from the computing. So how we can manage or align the data to filter the compound. So we have many still, hurdle to overcome, but we are tackling about this. So this is exactly snapshot. Now ongoing development of ICT-based platform with Fujitsu. I think already in a certain level of the, interface for the peptide drug discovery is already available. So now we are put on the more, the deep discussion with PeptiDream and also many data package to this system. So we try to manage the more, sophisticated, advanced ICT system we try to make. So this is final conclusion. Actually, since maybe 1.5 years or 2 years ago, Fujitsu and PeptiDream go into the deep collaboration to tackle the, establish the scientist-friendly interface. This is critical point. Sometimes interfaces exist, but it's, our scientists not friendly. It's very hard to use. So we try to make a scientist-friendly interface for the peptide drug discovery. And this, if we can manage this interface, I think this interface must become the big second wave in the drug discovery field. Thank you for your attention.